Still to support Trump in August 2025, you're dumb, you're uneducated, and I don't want to be friends with you.
You know, people love to say kids these days are lazy, clueless, glued to their phones, and don't care about the world around them. But every now and then, someone comes along who shatters that stereotype in the most powerful way possible. Today, we're talking about a 13-year-old who is not just paying attention, but who's schooling grown adults on politics with more clarity, courage, and confidence than most elected officials. And honestly, it proves something I've said for a long time. The next generation isn't asleep, they're wide awake, and they're ready to call out hypocrisy when they see it. While so many adults bury their heads in the sand, this kid is out here speaking truth to power, and it's catching fire online for a reason. Meet Tristan Ryan Perkins, a self-described future presidential hopeful and unapologetically woke activist. And I've got to be real with you. I'm not worried about AI replacing me, I'm worried about this kid stealing my job. Because once you hear him, you'll understand exactly why he's gone viral. Before we dive into the full story, comment where you're watching from. And don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss the next one.
Crazy how much Mexico helps us considering how much we screw them over. Because Trump threatened on multiple occasions that he was going to invade Mexico. Trump said he was going to build a $60 million wall across the border so immigrants could not get into the country. And then he said he'd make Mexico pay for it, even though it was his idea. Trump also added unnecessary tariffs on Mexico. Not to mention, in the 1800s, we stole a bunch of land from them. Don't say conquered, we stole it. And don't say I don't love my country. I love my country enough to hold them accountable for their own actions. We've done so much to Mexico, but who was there first during the Texas floods? Not Kristi Noem, not Trump, not FEMA, but Mexico. Who was there during the Californian fires earlier this year saving lives? Mexico. So I will not tolerate Mexico slander.
Yes, absolutely right, kid. Tristan is spitting fire here. Let's be honest. Most adults in this country couldn't even tell you who Kristi Noem is, let alone 13-year-olds. Yet Tristan not only knows, he's already calling out her hypocrisy directly. That tells you something about how tuned in and politically sharp this kid really is. And what makes it even better is the way he flips the script. Because how many times have you heard it? The moment a liberal praises another country for doing something well or dares to criticize America, the MAGA crowd screams, "If you don't like it here, leave." It's their go-to line, like a broken record. But Tristan isn't falling for it. He's not running away from America, he's holding it accountable. He's making the point that real patriotism isn't blind loyalty. It's about fixing what's broken, improving what's failing, and demanding better from leaders who constantly let us down. That's the difference. MAGA wants silence and obedience. Tristan wants honesty and responsibility. And at 13 years old, he's already doing a better job representing American values than half the so-called patriots who wrap themselves in flags while tearing this country apart.
Question for all the MAGA people who say, if liberals hate this country so much, why don't they leave? Okay, think of this. Imagine you have a leak in your roof. What do? Do you fix the leak, or do you abandon ship and buy a new house? You do the hard work and you fix the leak. The leak is Trump. Trump is trying to destroy this country. He is the biggest menace in this country modern day, and we need to stop him.
Damn right, kiddo. That analogy hits harder than most seasoned commentators could ever deliver. Tristan isn't just making a point, he's preaching truth, plain and simple. Keep going, Tristan, because this is the kind of energy that puts adults to shame.
Still to support Trump in August 2025, you're dumb, you're uneducated, and I don't want to be friends with you. Let me give you 3 things he's done earlier this week and last week that is an absolute deal breaker for any sane person. He cut cancer research just so he could fund a $200 million golden ballroom for his supporters. 2, both him and Epstein both said that their falling out was a result of Epstein stealing Trump's girls. One of these girls were named Virginia Giuffre, and she was 17 years old when she was raped by Jeffrey Epstein after he trafficked her from Donald Trump's spas. And you know what she was doing at those spas? She was hanging around with near-naked men. Why is a child hanging around with near-naked men?
Oh snap, straight out of the mouth of a kid, and it lands like a hammer. What makes Tristan even sharper is that he knows how to work around censorship, using code words so his message still gets through. That's not just smart for 13, that's strategic.
Trump literally admitted to human trafficking, and y'all still voted him into office. Sadly, in April this year, Virginia took her own life. And 3, Donald Trump brought up Lawrence Taylor, a accused and convicted sex offender, to reinstate the fitness test for kids. Guess who he raped? A 16-year-old. You support P3DO!
Yes, once again, wow. The passion is incredible, but it's heartbreaking at the same time. A kid this young should see a president as a role model, not as a walking definition of danger. And while he's too young to even cast a ballot, he still had to watch nearly half the country back Trump, all while millions of eligible adults didn't even bother to show up and vote.
FBI just redacted every single instance of Trump's name in the Epstein files so that we can't find them. So if it all came out, we couldn't convict him. Are we living in real life? Do you see this shit?
I've said it before myself, and hearing it again from this kid just drives it home. He's absolutely right. It almost feels surreal that this is the reality we're living through, like we're all stuck inside some broken simulation. And here's the kicker. Tristan is only 13. For most of his life, Trump has either been sitting in the Oval Office or trying to claw his way back into it. And that matters, because it means his entire generation has grown up watching this circus unfold. But here's the part that should terrify MAGA. Kids like Tristan aren't buying into the lies. They're sharper, they're braver, and they're already calling out the nonsense adults look the other way on. We are literally raising a wave of future progressives who won't just sit quietly. They're going to step up, they're going to take charge, and they'll flip the script. The only question left is whether democracy will still be standing strong when it's their turn to lead. And right now, Tristan is about to drop a point I've never even heard anyone else make. So trust me, you'll want to lock in and remember this one.
It's a big win for the political community. Well, for 70% of us. Trump's name was just absolutely, without a doubt, confirmed to be on the Epstein files. And he's known since May. This means that he's confirmed to be involved and that he was in the know of what happened on the Epstein Island. You know what's a little not so fun fact? There are more women who accuse Trump of SAing them than there are trans athletes at a college level. Why does this P3DO rapist get to be in office because of 10 trans athletes just trying to live their lives and be athletes?
And wow, what a knockout point from Tristan. Think about it. Republicans have turned trans athletes into their favorite political boogeyman, painting it as if it's the greatest crisis facing America. But here's the reality. More women have accused Donald Trump of misconduct than there are trans athletes competing at the college level. Just let that sink in for a moment. The numbers don't lie, but the priorities of the GOP sure do. They scream endlessly about protecting children, yet the second those kids are actually born, that so-called concern disappears. Healthcare? Nope. Education? Nope. Safety from powerful men abusing their positions? Not a chance. They only care when it suits the culture war. And that's why what Tristan says next matters so much, because he's about to deliver a truth that cuts deeper than politics. It's the kind of point that forces you to stop, take a breath, and really ask yourself what this country's values have become.
Don't believe me that there were more women accusing him than there are trans athletes? Okay, let's go over the accusers' names. Jessica Leeds, Kristen Anderson, Jill Hart, Kathy Heller, Temple McDowell, Karina Virginia, Bridget Sullivan, Tasha Dixon, Mindy McGillivray, Rachel Crooks, Natasha Stoynoff, Jennifer Murphy, Jessica Drake, Summer Zervos, Cassandra Cyril, E. Jean Carroll, Amy Doris, and Nini Lakesonen. All of these women have accused Trump of essaying them. And if we listen to the victims rather than the perpetrators, then we would actually not need a list to find justice.
Yeah, just wow. Tristan hit a nerve here, and he's absolutely right. In this country, victims are ignored again and again, while the powerful get away with brushing everything off as fake news. Think about the message that sends to kids today. Deny, deny, deny. And not only do you face no real consequences, you can actually rise to the highest office in the land. That's the America we're living in, where half the country seems more interested in owning the libs than protecting basic decency or standing up for the truth. And sadly, this isn't just about Trump. This is about the system that's been built around him, one that allows lies, corruption, and cruelty to thrive unchecked. This is Trump's America, and it's exactly what Project 2025 is designed to unleash on all of us. A darker, more dangerous future where power matters more than principle. And the most striking part? Tristan, at just 13 years old, sees it more clearly than many adults do.
Even though both Vance and Trump have both publicly distanced themselves from Project 2025, their actions definitely speak louder than words. Because J.D. Vance wrote 90% of Project 2025, and Trump supports many of the beliefs held by Project 2025, and he pushes them forward. Many people don't realize that their big plan is to get Trump in the presidency, securing it for Vance, and then after Trump rattles everybody, divides the Republicans from the Democrats, they can just boot him out, saying that he's demented and that he's destroying the country unconstitutionally, just to get Vance in to start Project 2025 in. Project 2025, if it comes to fruition, is going to destroy our country, have us go back thousands of years, even though this country is only 250 years old. Wake up, America! Trump is just being used as a fiddle for Project 2025.
Yeah, wake up is right. Project 2025 is playing Trump like a fiddle, and in the process, it's playing his supporters for absolute fools. They think they're in on the plan, but really, the plan is being played on them. The sad part is, many of them don't even realize it. They've got the wool pulled so tightly over their eyes that they can't see the obvious. But here's the thing. This 13-year-old sees it. Tristan isn't falling for the propaganda, and that's exactly why he's getting under their skin. And of course, when someone that young speaks truth to power, what happens? The MAGA keyboard warriors crawl out of the woodwork, hurling insults because they can't handle being called out. One troll even tried to smear him as indoctrinated, when in reality, Tristan isn't being brainwashed. He's being educated. There's a big difference, and that's something the haters will never understand. But here's the good news. For every bitter troll trying to tear him down, there are thousands more people lifting him up. Tristan is gaining support, gaining a following, and building a platform bigger than most adults ever will. He's already sitting at over 96,000 followers on Instagram, and it's only climbing. That tells you something. People are ready to hear the truth, even when it comes from someone barely in his teens. And honestly, that's what makes this so inspiring. Because if a 13-year-old has the courage to speak out and fight for the future, the least the rest of us can do is stand with him. Teach them well, and let them lead the way. That line couldn't be more fitting, because what Tristan just showed us is that sometimes kids can see the truth clearer than the adults who've been blinded by politics for years. This young man isn't just speaking for himself. He's speaking for an entire generation that refuses to stay silent, that refuses to accept corruption and cruelty as normal. And honestly, he's already leading by example. Now, here's the takeaway for the rest of us. If a 13-year-old can stand this tall, then every parent, every voter, and every citizen has a responsibility to do the same. Talk to your kids, have the hard conversations, and don't underestimate how much they can understand. Because as Tristan proved today, kids aren't dumb. They only become misled if you feed them lies. So let's make sure his voice gets heard far and wide. Share this video, drop your thoughts in the comments, and hit that like button so more people see it. The future is watching, and it's up to us to make sure it's worth inheriting. Stay sharp, stay informed, and thanks for tuning in.